operators out there had to, maybe they were at capacity with their outside dining, right? And now here comes a storm, right? All of a sudden it starts downpouring rain, and you have all these diners outside, right? You can't just rush them all inside, right? Because they may not have masks because they weren't equipped. They didn't go there with their masks. So now what do? And say, hey, sorry guys, just hold out. You're gonna have to get soaked and wet, right? Your dishes may get ruined. But hey, I'll be back out when it stops raining. And then the waiter or waitress goes in the establishment. Any horror stories like that?
I could actually speak to that. So this weekend, my wife and I were out on the east end of Long Island celebrating her birthday, and we were dining at a outside on a dock, and there's storm clouds overhead, and it started to just a little bit of raindrops. And some of the staff came around and they said, in the event that it starts to downpour, we have masks provided so you can run inside and take shelter from the storm. Now, this restaurant is a fine dining establishment. I'm not going to drop names, but it's a very expensive restaurant, small indoor capacity. And their game plan was, if it starts to pour, kind of just shelter in place with the mask we provide you, and we'll kind of figure out what we can with your fine dining cuisine. And it's tough because what are really the options? What options do you have? Because a lot of restaurants may not have the space for it. And there's a lot of fear of people dining indoors because unlike New York City where you can't dine indoors, on Long Island you can. But a lot of restaurants, either one, aren't providing indoor dining, or two, you walk past the restaurants that do have it and there's no one in there. There's a lot of fear with dining indoors. I think there's a comfort in being able to dine outside. And once you take that away, it's a daunting opposition. And this restaurant in Point, unfortunately, they're not set up for it. Case in point with what their game plan is. And I think a lot of restaurants may be in that position. So that's definitely something that needs to be looked at. So if there's anyone out there who's had to encounter that thus far, if they could share some of their stories with it, I'm sure it would be greatly appreciated to others here.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it happens every time it rains. So you're checking the radar and you're managing the guest expectation. You're telling the kitchen, we got 15 minutes before it's going to thunderstorm, get those entrees out. You're seating strategically and it's managing a restaurant.
But yeah, right. And I guess leads to my next question. Seasonal. Here comes the fall. Here comes the winter time. Yeah, right now it rains. Hey, it'll feel good, right? What happens fall, winter time, right? We're going to have this outdoor seating. We're going to have electricity out there maybe, or we're going to have heated lamps. What happens if it starts pouring rain or snowing for that matter? Obviously, yeah, you have to look at the weather, but we've all known that the weatherman or weatherwoman, to be politically correct, is sometimes they're wrong, right? All of a sudden it'll start hailing outside, golf balls. What are you supposed to do when you're outside dining? Obviously there's probably not answers right now, but this is the stuff we got to think about now, folks. It's craziness, but.
Yeah, I think it goes back to your lease negotiation. How are you managing this? And October 15th is probably that day. You got a few more good days left in New York. You're either shutting down, or you're figuring something out. I mean, that's why we've only opened out of 14 places. We've only opened 3 of them. And we're slow rolling it, just buying time, and we're working with our landlords to figure out the best way to pay rent and work together as a team. Most of them are working with us, some of them aren't, but at the end of the day, we're kind of all in this together, right? And managing the money as best we can, whatever money's left.
It looks like we have over 50 participants on this webinar. I would love to say that is one state representative from each state out there listening, right? We would love to have certain influential people out there that are really going to go up to bat for restaurants and bars, right? something needs to be done. More needs to be done, right? Some states are being proactive. They're doing certain things and providing hazard pay and all this other stuff. But hey, more has to be done. If anyone's listening out there, if anybody knows anybody high up the chain, you know, this is an industry that needs assistance. I mean, yeah, of course, you know, we can't discount the medical profession because they are at the front lines, right? But, you know, the restaurants are right behind them. We got to feed, you know, we got to feed these individuals, right? We have to remain open because people still want to eat, you know, and for people that historically have eaten out at restaurants, they're still going to do it. They're just going to do it in a different way.
It's not just feeding people too. We employ 30 million people in the workforce, 7 of which were laid off over the last 5 months. This is much more than the restaurant industry at this point. It's having massive economic impacts that are, you know, I read a stat that 30% of people didn't pay or paid a percentage of their mortgage in July. That's it's going to get a lot worse before it gets better.